Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We cover everything Major League, from spring training to the World Series. We've got your favorite club covered, from New York to Boston to LA. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast.
What is up? Welcome into the GSMC Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Dougherty. As always, this podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. It is a Friday here as we come to the close of This Week in Baseball. Oh, actually, that was a show they used to be on. It's called This Week in Baseball. It had a lot of bloopers on it, but old show. Now we have MLB Network where it just plays everything 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But yeah, this is a Friday, last show of the week here, so we're going to recap the last couple days in MLB action. We're going to talk about what's coming up this weekend. I know we have a big pitching matchup actually tonight on a Friday out in Los Angeles. The Dodgers and the Nationals will get a series started today, a weekend series, and I will be talking about that a little bit. Also, we had the Angels and Red Sox finish up a series yesterday in Los Angeles, but down in Orange County in Anaheim, as the Red Sox completed the sweep of the Angels as the two top teams there in the American League battled, and a clear front runner came out of that series as the Angels were not able to get a win at home against the Sox. They were beat up pretty good as that game. None of those games were close. I mean, let's talk about that for a little bit here. The fact that none of those games were close. The Red Sox won their first game, I believe, like 10-1. That was the Ohtani start. They only lasted about 2 innings before the blisters flared up. And then on Wednesday, the Red Sox came and with vengeance again, and that was the 3 home run day. Or actually, no, Mookie Betts had 3 home runs on Tuesday. Wednesday, the Red Sox won again 9-0. Rick Porcello pitched very well for the Red Sox to get his 4th win on the year, as he's looking like he's going to be well on his way to a bounce back year. And actually, we'll go through the line. We talked about the Tuesday game. I went through the lines, everybody. Let's go through the lines from the game on Wednesday. Rick Porcello pitched for the Red Sox, went 6 innings, allowed 6 hits, no runs, 6 strikeouts, did not walk anybody. So I scattered 6 hits through 6 innings. It's pretty good right there, not allowing any runs or walking any. That's how you get a win right there. Tyler Skaggs, not so much. Got roughed up for the first time this year, really. Went 4 1/3 innings, allowed 6 runs on 8 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts to give up a home run to Rafael Devers. To Devers. Is that what it's? No, it's, yeah. To Devers in the 3rd inning. It was, it's Rafael Devers. Why am I doubting myself? What's his name? To Devers, it was a grand slam there in that 3rd inning that kind of broke that game open and set the tone for that whole game. Also on Wednesday, we had a thriller out in Oakland as the A's and White Sox, 2 teams that are going to be sitting in the cellar or down in the bottom of their respective divisions. The A's actually getting off to a decent little start there in Oakland, but they played a game on Tuesday where they actually had a free. I don't think I talked about that much on Wednesday during the Wednesday show, but the Tuesday game actually was a free game at the Coliseum there in Oakland. The A's celebrating their 50th year in Oakland. This is the anniversary of the 50th anniversary of the first game at the Oakland Coliseum when the A's moved over from, I believe, Kansas City first. Yeah, they came over from Kansas City. So, you got to like that. On Wednesday, if you're an A's fan, they won that game 12-11 in 14 innings. It was tied 11-11 going into extra innings, and it took took 4 extra innings to get that one going as Matt Olson singled. It was more like a double, but they counted it as a single because the game was over. He had a long fly ball down over to the left field off the wall, and the game was over there in the 14th. The A's won that one. We had the Puerto Rico series going on Tuesday and Wednesday down in San Juan, which was pretty cool. We had a extra inning game there as well, actually, on Wednesday. It was That one took 16 innings for the Cleveland Indians and the Minnesota Twins to finish up that one. It was a Twins victory in 16, and it was a walk-off single, I believe, by Ryan Lamar for the Twins there in the bottom of the 16th. There was a couple home runs that it was 1-1 going through that whole game, it was 0-0 going through the whole game. Home runs by Edwin Encarnacion and Miguel Sano, both in the 14th inning, to keep that game tied, and then it took 2 more innings for the Twins to finally walk off. All right, another series of note. We had the Nationals and the Mets in New York. The Nationals took the first 2 games of that one. We covered the that was the Tuesday game. The Nationals took one of those games. I swear, after the Mets came into the Nationals Park and beat them pretty good. I think they played Monday, Tuesday, and then they didn't play yesterday because yesterday was the off day. We only had 9 games yesterday, so we're starting on Wednesday. Here of all these lovely baseball games going on here. Yeah, so the Mets took the first 2 games, and the Nationals got that last one on Wednesday by a pretty bloated score. That was 11-5 there. The Mets got that one with the back of a home run by Yoenis Cespedes, even though it looks like Zimmerman went deep twice for the Nationals. It's pretty good there, but they took the loss as the Mets came back with a 9-run 8th inning, capped off by a grand slam by Yoenis Cespedes to give them save them from being swept at home, just like the Nationals got swept at home by those very Mets. At the beginning of the season, we talked about it in a couple of podcasts earlier. All right, Garrett Cole, another great start for the Astros as he continues on as he gets his ERA below 1. Now he's at a .96 ERA. He's got 2 wins as he starts off his Astros career there in Houston, coming over from the Pirates in the offseason. Astros got the win 7-1 in Seattle. Cole, very nice outing as he went 7 innings, only 1 unearned run on 5 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and compared to his counterpart Mike Leake, who went 6 innings, allowed 5 runs, all earned, 7 hits, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk for Mike Leake. And the Astros continue to get their bats going as they look like they're going to be climbing up the standings there in the AL West, battling out with the Angels, who took 3 losses in this week. So yeah, it looks like now the Houston they're both at 13 wins. Houston just playing 1 more game was a loss, so they're right there, half game back behind the Angels. A little early to be talking about standings, but I just want to get you guys a little perspective on how the Angels and the Astros are battling it out there, and we'll likely be battling it out through this whole season. We'll see if the Angels can bounce back. They're going to be playing, I think they're going to be hosting the Giants in an interleague series down in Anaheim this weekend, so maybe they get healthy a little bit against the Giants, who are definitely a team that's scuffling at the plate right now. They're pitching pretty well, but 10 of their last 18 games, they have only scored 1 or no runs. So Giants need to get that figured out at the plate, and the Angels need to get back in the win column after taking taking their lumps against the Red Sox this week and completing that. And that series actually finished out. If we want to go now, we're going to go to Thursday. It finished out yesterday in Anaheim. The Red Sox winning again. That was a final score of 8-2 out there at Angel Stadium. Mookie Betts hit another home run, and also did Andrew Benintendi got his first of the year. Mookie Betts now at 6 home runs on the year after hitting 3 on Tuesday. So I mean, the Red Sox continue to roll on, only taking 2 losses throughout this season as they're having a pretty historic April as they roll on. They got the sweep down there in Anaheim, and continuing on through these games. Now we're going to shift over to Thursday. The Red Sox did get that win on Thursday. We're going to go to another good start in Philadelphia. It was another start at home for Jake Arrieta. The Phillies wearing those cool throwback blue jerseys. Arrieta went and dominated the Pirates on Thursday and get his second win in a Phillies uniform. Remember, he was the guy who definitely took his time to sign with his team, with the whatever team he was going to sign with. I think it was going to be the Phillies all the way, whole way along. I just wanted to get as much money as he possibly could. But this was a kind of a weird offseason where, we just saw Jose Bautista get signed to a minor league contract by the Braves like yesterday. Arrieta went 7 innings, allowed only 1 hit, struck out 10 and walked 2. You gotta like that if you are a Philly fan, and hoping he is gonna be worth that money that he got. The Phillies scored 7 home runs from Rhys Hoskins, home run from Rhys Hoskins in the second inning off of Jameson Taillon. So his third of the year. We'll see how he continues on. He's a great hitter for that Phillies team. All right, Yankees got back in the win column with the win at home against the Blue Jays. Aaron Judge hit a absolute moonshot yesterday to get that win. They also got a nice start from CC Sabathia. He only lasted about 4 1/3 innings, though. Well, exactly 4 1/3 innings, allowing 4 hits on 2 runs on 4 hits. Walked 1, struck out 1. He came out looked like he came out earlier. Maybe he got that pitch count up. He was at 71 pitches through 4 1/3, so maybe it was just a little bit of wildness. Aaron Boone decided he was about done. So the Yankees did get that win, though, scoring 1 in the 7th to take that lead 4-2. Blue Jays got 1 in the 8th, but was not enough to get the win. Over in Chicago, the Cubs actually did get a game in with the Cardinals, as they had a couple snow outs or what have you on Monday and then also on Wednesday. So they used this off day on Thursday. That probably was a scheduled. I think it was a scheduled off day. They weren't meant to play. Or maybe they're going to reschedule. Was it a 4-game series all the way through? It doesn't matter. They played on Thursday, and the Cubs got the win, 8-5. Jason Hayward hit his second home run for the Cardinals. For the Cubs, for the Cubs, he got his second home run for the Cubs. John Lester went 6 innings, allowed only 1 unearned run on 2 hits, walked 1, struck out 7. So a nice start there for John Lester. But the Cardinals didn't go away. But Lester did get the win because the Cubs had such a high. They already had a 6-0 lead after 2 innings, and then scored the next 2 in the 5th. So John Lester had a big lead when he came out of the game, but the Cardinals did get 4 runs in that 7th inning, but was not enough to come back and get the win there at the friendly confines. All right, Houston gets another win against Seattle after that good Garrett Cole start. They get another great start from Charlie Morton, who actually is getting out to a great year as the Astros rotation just continues to roll on. These guys are really talented. Charlie Morton is 3-0 now at the .72 ERA. He went 7 shutout innings against this Mariners team. It's actually, the Mariners have a good little lineup. Now they got obviously Ichiro back there. He doesn't play every day, but with Robinson Cano, and they got D. Gordon now playing center field. He's leading off. It's a nice little lineup there. But they were shut out through 7. Only allowed 3 hits, Morton did, and struck out 8. Charlie Morton pitching really well to start off the season for the Astros. And you remember, he was the guy who had the last out for the Astros in the World Series last year against the Dodgers. For the Astros, they got home runs from Stassi and Josh Reddick. I want to say JJ Reddick. This isn't the 76ers. Josh Reddick, his fourth of the year off Wade LeBlanc. That was in the 9th inning, and then Stassi got his in the 7th off Sapchinski. So the Astros continue to pitch, continue to hit. They got their 13th win in the year, and they're looking pretty good. Over in Atlanta, the Mets got beat up by the Atlanta Braves. Holy moly. Kurt Suzuki went deep again, his 3rd of the year off of Matt Harvey. Matt Harvey did not look very well. He soldiered on. It went 6 innings, did allow 6 runs on 8 hits, struck out 4, walked 1. That home run from Kurt Suzuki given up, as the Mets weren't able to figure out Whistler, the young Matt Whistler for the Braves, a promising little starter they got for him. He went 7 innings, only allowed 1 run on 2 hits, struck out 8. The 1 run was a home run by Todd Frazier. So the Mets looking to bounce back after this one as they continue this. They're going to have that was the first game of a 4-game series, as we'll probably highlight the rest of that in the next segment. As we come to the end of this segment, another big blowout victory in Milwaukee, as we're covering these games with that had, I mean, it seems we got some good pitching performances and some bad ones, as this was a 12-3 win for the Brewers over the Marlins. Chase Anderson went 5 1/3 innings, only allowed 3 runs on 5 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts to get touched up for a couple home runs. Both home runs were hit by Brinson, the guy coming up through the ranks in the Marlins is Louis Brinson for the Marlins, promising center fielder, right-hander, only 23 years old. But yeah, he hit 2 home runs for the Marlins, but they did get the loss as the Milwaukee Brewers touched him up for 12 runs. Lorenzo Cain hit his second home run. Braun hit his 4th, and then Arcia hit his 2nd of the year as the Brewers went yard a bunch in this game. I mean, when they play at home, those guys, they hit a lot of home runs. I mean, Ryan Braun didn't even start the game. He came up in a pinch hit scenario and hit a 3-run homer. So you gotta like that if you're a Brewers fan, as they sit. I think they on top of that NL Central, or they're kind of in the middle there, as it's all still jumbled up. The Pittsburgh Pirates got off to a great start, but now they're kind of regressing. They're still 12-4 though. The Cardinals are 10-8. I mean, like I said, we're probably looking at standings a little bit early, but I mean that's kind of what happens with the games that happened in the last 2 days that are worth highlighting. And we'll be back in the next segment with some news and updates regarding teams that are hot and teams that are not, and we'll talk about some players and some Ohtani's when we come back.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
All right, welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast. We went over some games from the last 2 days, as we usually do in that first segment. Now we're going to get to some stories. For the third segment, we're going to talk about all the upcoming games this weekend and some good pitching matchups. This is our story segment here on a Friday as we come to this, get into the weekend, come to the end of this week, and get into the weekend with some good baseball. However, we're going to talk some Red Sox, talk some Ohtani, as we did have that highly touted Angels and Red Sox series. I don't know what it is, whether it's playoffs or regular season, but the Red Sox seem to just play well when they come out to the West Coast, especially in Los Angeles and Orange County down there in Anaheim. Mookie Betts, I mean, that was he hit 4 home runs in that series as the Red Sox continue to saunter on here through the first month of the season. I mean, this team, they're pitching, they're hitting. We'll see if obviously it's a long season. We'll see if they can keep it up. It looks like they're getting everything clicking the right way. I mean, they have Chris Sale going well. They have even David Price has been pitching pretty well. Got a great start yesterday from Rick Porcello, which you gotta like, or from Wednesday from Rick Porcello, which you gotta like, and then obviously Eduardo Rodriguez even yesterday holding the line as well, as he keeps his record spotless, now a 2-0 on the season. Angels, not so much. Angels definitely coming back to earth a little bit. You had the rough stuff from Ohtani on Tuesday with the blister. He did actually hit yesterday. It looks like maybe the blister was okay, was well enough healed for him to go grip a bat. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate or anything here, because I'm not going to say they're faking injuries, but that was kind of a weird thing. I don't know why they they had to come out and say he had a blister. That's why he had to come out in that second inning. He wasn't getting the pitches over. He was getting worked by the Red Sox hitters. It wasn't really getting touched up, but he was throwing a lot of pitches in those first 2 innings. I think he was already at 60-something pitches in those first 2 innings. So just take him out. I don't know why they had. Was it really a blister that happened? Because 2 days later he was hitting, and if I know anything, I know what it's like to have a blister on a hand and then go try and grip a baseball bat. Even with gloves on, it's not the most fun thing. So, he did not have a good showing yesterday at the plate. He did go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. So, whether it was just the unfamiliarity of playing against Rodriguez, he's a pretty tough guy. I mean, not the highest touted pitcher. He's their fourth starter, but he's a crafty little lefty, and lefty on lefty. We'll probably see as we go on through the year how Ohtani fares against lefty and lefty matchups at the plate, because he does bat left-handed, so we'll see how his splits figure themselves out, whether he's more potent against right-handers, and maybe you'll see him start more exclusively against right-handed pitching in the future. So yeah, those Red Sox, they're definitely getting going. They continue. They got the good sweep there, as they will start now a series coming up today. They're going to start a series. I don't know, they're going to go home, or they're going to keep that road trip going, as they're going to be going to Oakland. Yeah, that's why I figured they're going to be going up the coast in California, staying out in the West, as it's going to be Drew Pomeranz against Kendall Graveman out there in Oakland. That's just a little teaser. We'll get to all those games in the next segment, though, as we continue on. I'm going to talk about Mookie Betts. What a pickup. What a find. Mookie Betts, not the biggest dude. He's a great outfielder, but he can mash. He's got a quick swing. I've seen a guy spin on some baseballs. The pitch from Ohtani he hit out of the park on Tuesday was a fastball it looked like at his shins, and he just golfed it right out of there. And then he hit two more. And they weren't cheapies. They were bombs, absolute bombs. And even the home run he hit yesterday, I know Benintendi got his first, finally got off the snide there. He's supposed to be the big power guy for the Red Sox. Not that Mookie's not. He's definitely a power guy. But Mookie Betts is putting his name firmly, even early in this year, here in April, in the MVP race, as he definitely wants to get his team going. They're firing all cylinders. You got, like I said, they're hitting, they're pitching, and they're off to their best start since 1987 at 16-2. So you got to like that if you're a Red Sox fan, Red Sox Nation out there. Got nothing really to complain about as Mookie Betts he hit another home run in the first inning. So just looking at it, he continues. He already has set a record, I think, for leadoff home runs, as he hit another just missile. You don't want to get pitches up to him. He's got a quick bat where he's going to hit pretty much anything. He can go oppo. I've seen him go oppo, but more of a yanker, kind of a pull hitter. So, if you're gonna get anything up to him, make sure it's way up and out of the strike zone, because he can tomahawk with the best of them and yank those balls down the line. And I saw him hit a home run against the Yankees that just, it looked like it was going to scrape the people's heads sitting up on top of the monster. It was a line drive that got over the monster in Boston. So, he's got a quick bat and a great swing. So, the ball just jumps off his bat. Benintendi also, like I said, got his first home runs. I also like Rafael Devers. That guy's got a kind of a more looping power swing that you're used to seeing, but he's got tons of power. Benintendi hit his first home run as he got one over the wall in right center field. We'll see. Let's see. Was it going to be a home run anyways last year? Did he get out of the park? Yep, it just got over that tall wall. Would have been a home run anyways. I remember we talked about the fact that the Angels lowered that fence. Like there wasn't enough home runs last year, but they lowered that fence out there in right field, so that tall home run wall no longer is. It probably was about 20 feet high. Now it's only about 8 feet high. So a lot more balls, and you're probably going to see a lot more of those line drives that Mike Trout was hitting off that wall go out of the park for a home run. Mike Trout was definitely overshadowed in this series. We didn't really talk about him that much. I haven't even said his name until now. He was 0 for 4 yesterday. Real rough game for him. He's now under 300. He's hitting about 270. He was held hitless and didn't even get on base yesterday, and did strike out once. So he'll probably figure that himself out. The team's still all right. They're 13-7. So nothing to complain about there if you're an Angel fan. But we'll see if Mike Trout can figure himself out as they continue on through this season and continue on. They're going to be hosting the Giants this weekend, and we can get right against the Giants pitching. I think actually we'll talk about that in the next segment, how a Giants pitcher is going to be coming off the DL. Not the big one, not Bumgarner, but another Giants pitcher. I know they had a lot of issues regarding injuries in the beginning of the year, and their pitching staff. They pitch pretty well, actually. If you go look at their team ERA, it's not bad at all. They just can't hit. Like I said, they've had 0 or 1 runs in 10 of their 18 games. So, yeah, that's not a recipe for winning. But, yeah, no, just looking at the other box scores, yeah, I mean, Trout had 2 hits on Wednesday, even though they were shut out. And on Tuesday, he was also outshined as Betts hit 3 home runs on Tuesday. So Mike Trout he wants to get back in that spotlight, even though he doesn't really look for it. He just needs to start hitting a little more. The Angels scored a whopping 3 runs in that entire series against the Red Sox. I mean, the Red Sox scored 10 on Tuesday. I think they scored 8 on both, or 8 or 9 on both on Wednesday, and then 8 on Thursday. So, yeah, that was a major trouncing by Boston as they will continue their road trip up the coast to Oakland. All right, some more news to talk about. We got, obviously, Aaron Judge hit a home run yesterday, another milestone for him as he continues to make history in his second season in the Major League Baseball. He hit another homer, and he becomes the fastest player, 61st of his career. So, yeah, I mean, he was the fastest player on his last time. He's the fastest of 61 home runs. I mean, that's the big number right now. I remember what and Yankees, 61 is a big number. I mean, even though it's over 2 seasons, but he is the fastest player ever to hit their first 61 home runs in Major League Baseball. Obviously, last year, I think he hit 56 last year. I mean, that was a lot of home runs. And then he's hopefully taking some of the pressure off Giancarlo Stanton, who just seems to they had a great little run in the beginning there of the season. This team's pretty up and down. We saw them against the Marlins score 8 runs and then get shut out the next game. So Stanton's got to figure himself out. He's scuffling pretty hard at, especially at Yankee Stadium, where he should be just flipping balls out of the stadium, but he can't even make contact right now, as he's hitting a cool 203 right now. Giancarlo is, with he only has about 3 home runs coming into the day. Yeah, he has 3 home runs, and he's struck out. How many times he struck out? Where's my strikeout numbers? We'll find that out. But I'm looking to see how many times he struck out. But yeah, no, he struck out 29 times already this season. 3 home runs and 29 strikeouts. He's hitting 203. So definitely not a great start for Giancarlo coming into this year, into the American League. For the first time in his career. And in the pinstripes in New York, you gotta perform, or you're gonna get eaten alive. So you gotta be careful there if you're Giancarlo Stanton, even though he's definitely got the power and the prowess to turn it on, maybe pressing a little bit. I know he's got some other good guys around him. He's got Didi Gregorius, who already I think has like 6 home runs on the year. The guy he's got 5 on the year already, and then Judge obviously and Gary Sanchez. So lots of ways to score runs there if you're the Yankees, but you got to be able to pitch as well. I mean, they got an interesting little start from CC yesterday, like I said, but they got to figure themselves out as they will have their series with the Blue Jays. They got the win yesterday, 4-3, like I said, and they will be continuing it through the weekend, a 4-game series. And we'll talk about that in the next segment I'll highlight some nice pitching matchups coming up this weekend. A lot of good, cool little pitching matchups that I'll be talking about in the next segment. As we have some young guys going off against each other. We have 2 I'll be talking about that for a while, probably going into even maybe the fourth segment talking about that. But some history being made tonight in Los Angeles. The Dodgers and the Nationals are going at it, and I'll just kind of teasing the fact that they're making some history tonight, and we'll talk about that in the next segment. But to finish out this segment, just talking about how the Red Sox we'll see if they can sustain it. We'll see if they can keep going. I like what I'm seeing. Also like what I'm seeing out in Philadelphia with Jake Arrieta pitched pretty well in his second start. He's getting back to his dominant ways. I mean, he isn't a guy who's throwing a no-hitter. I mean, he's got the no-hit stuff when his slider's moving, when it's dipping out of the strike zone, when he can locate that fastball. That's pretty much all he has to do. I mean, he's got nasty stuff, but the problem is he gets a little spit of wildness. He gets predictable. He lays a slider over the plate, He can get kind of hangable the way the way it dips and moves. If he gets that slider up, it's very hittable. But when he's really nasty is when it looks like it's coming right at the bottom of the zone, and then it just dives out of the strike zone, and then he obviously throws a hard fastball, usually around like 94 to 97 miles an hour. And if he can spot that fastball well, get ahead of the count, and not be pitching from behind, he's definitely a guy you can watch out for. And then also another pitcher to watch out for is Matt Harvey. As like I said, talked about it all throughout this show from the beginning of the season. I like the fact that he's sitting in that third spot in the rotation behind DeGrom and Syndergaard. But not pitching too well. He's not pitching well in the last two. I think the last three starts he's had pretty rough starts. I mean, definitely a little downturn in his time here with the Mets. As remember, he was the big rock star in New York. Now it's all about Syndergaard, Thor. I don't know what's all about these superheroes. They always make superhero references in New York. Now he was the Dark Knight. Now you got Thor out there in New York. So. We'll talk about that as we continue on with the Mets. I think Thor actually is pitching tonight. So, yeah, he's pitching tonight for the Mets. And we'll talk about him when we come back. And a lot more pitchers and that historic game that's going to be happening out in Los Angeles tonight. So we will do that when we come back in just a moment.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
All right, welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast. Went over some of the main stories from the last couple of days in baseball in the last segment. Before that, we did go over some of the games and scores and nice pitching performances, some nice hitting performances. We had some big runs totals put up. Not as many home runs as we saw. I think even last year they changed the balls. I know in Arizona they put a humidor in. Like you see in Colorado, where they put the balls in this humidor thing to make them less susceptible to being knocked out of the ballpark. We'll see how that continues to fare in Arizona, as you maybe have a little complaint from the home team, as they're going to see their home run numbers going down, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. All right, this segment we're going to highlight some games coming up this weekend. I know I definitely teased the game coming up in Los Angeles. We'll probably be talking about that a lot in this segment, as maybe I'll carry over my preview into the next segment as well. Lots of good stuff coming up this weekend in Major League Baseball. The Nationals and the Dodgers will be starting a series in Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium. It's going to be a historic one tonight, as it'll be Max Scherzer and Clayton. Kershaw, I believe the first time in 12 years that we're having a 2-3-time Cy Young Award winners start against each other. I'm sure, back in the day when we had Maddox and Randy Johnson and those guys, Roger Clemens, going against each other all the time, those guys all had won multiple Cy Young Awards, and that's why hasn't been too long, but it's been long enough to note. 12 years since we've had 2-3-time Cy Young Award winners go against each other in a season, where now these guys are pretty much the two top guys in the National League. I will say Syndergaard has something to say about it, as he also is up there in the ranks to be considered for Cy Young, but this is pretty early in the season, as we'll continue on. But these guys definitely always have their name in the hat coming this season. Yeah, Max Scherzer. great start to the season. Both these guys have had nice start to the seasons, except it's a little different in the win column. Scherzer with the 3-1 with the 1.33 ERA, his 38 strikeouts. Clayton Kershaw 1-2 hasn't had as much run support as Scherzer has. When it comes to just when you get good pitching performances, you need to get that run support. It's a team game for a reason. You can pitch as well as you can. Ask Johnny Cueto. I mean, I think the guy leads the league in ERA. Just a little note here. He leads the league in ERA, but I think he's 0-2 or 1-2, just like Kershaw is, because he hasn't got any run support. Can't get no respect. But Clayton's 1-2 with the 1.73 ERA, 31 strikeouts on the year. This is going to be a doozy. I mean, they've already come out and said maybe it's going to be, what's the over-under for the run total in this game? 5.5 runs. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a game to watch. I don't think it's going to be on any. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be on any nationally televised game. It's a Friday. I thought maybe they'd throw it up on NFL on an MLB network. You probably could. They'll probably definitely have highlights of it as you go throughout the day. Be sure to tune in and see what's going on in that game down there in Los Angeles, as those two giants are going to be going to face off against each other. If I could talk right, geez, I'll be talking about that a lot, definitely on Monday. But both these teams, though, if you look at their records, the Nationals 9-10, Dodgers 8-9. They're supposed to be front runners in this National League, well, their respective divisions, the East and the West, in the National League, and they're both sitting a game under 500. So maybe these guys are definitely going to be fighting to get their team back on track when it coming to this weekend, a good weekend series, as the Nationals will be going to Los Angeles, and then after that they'll be heading up to the city by the bay and being hosted by the Giants for a 3-game series starting on Monday. I'll actually be at that game on Monday. It'll be fun to see the Nationals play out there in San Francisco. So if you're at the Giants game on Monday, come say hi. But yeah, Nationals, they just have to get their bats going. I mean, they have Bryce Harper, obviously. They just need to kind of get it figured out when it comes to late inning pitching. I don't know if it's their bullpen, but or late their back to the rotation isn't getting as much. But after they did have a nice little series, taking 2 out of 3 from the Mets in New York. But before that, it was kind of a rough. They got swept by the Mets at home. Got roughed up a little bit by the Braves. This team, they're pretty volatile. Dodgers, they're probably going to hit their stride eventually here, but they got to probably worry about more just racking up wins, because they got to deal with the Diamondbacks out there in Arizona, who are just continue to win and win as they extend their lead in the National League West standings. But I keep saying it's too early to look at standings. But yeah, no, these guys both definitely capable of throwing no-hitters, of throwing shutouts, of keeping bats quiet throughout this game. If you like watching pitchers duels, if you like a good pitching matchup, this is definitely the most highly touted one of the year so far, as we will have the two perennial Cy Young Award winners go up against each other in Los Angeles. Some more matchups to look at. We're going to have Felix Hernandez is going to have another start as he looks to right his ship in Texas tonight. He's going to be going up against Mike Minor in the ballpark at Arlington. As King Felix, I mean, he's just been pretty volatile this year. I mean, he is 2-2, but I mean, posting a 5.48 ERA. That's not like King Felix is. He's maybe just trying to figure out if he can stay healthy, or if he's pitching through something here. But he needs to keep that ball down. He work that changeup, but that's where he's nasty. Giving that fastball location, working that slider changeup combination is how he gets people out. And if he can't keep that, if he doesn't do that, if he hangs the slider, he gets pretty susceptible. In Chicago, they have not actually. The White Sox haven't figured out who's going to pitch tonight. There's no announced starter for the White Sox, but the batters know who they're going to be facing. It's going to be Justin Verlander, who has gone off to a very nice start for the Astros, and now his first full season with the Houston Astros. He's 2-0 with a 1.35 ERA, 34 strikeouts on the year. So you got to like that if you're an Astros fan, as Verlander just is picking up where he left off from the World Series last year. The hard-throwing right-hander is going to be going up against that White Sox lineup, and looking like he's probably going to extend that winning streak to or record to probably 3-0. So I would definitely take the Astros in that one, even out in Chicago. All right. Anything else as I look through my games here? We're going to have Michael Wacha against Brandon Finnegan. Finnegan's that highly touted left-hander prospect for the Reds, but he hasn't got off to that great start. He's 0-1 with a pretty rough ERA there, sitting over 10, but looking like he just couldn't get out of a couple innings. Basically, he got 2 outs and then gave up a couple home runs with 2 out. And was pulled out. That was his first start since middle of last year. So look like he probably could bounce back in this start against the Redbirds. The Cardinals, Michael Wacha looking to lower his ERA as well, as he's 2-1 with a 5.52 ERA, only 12 strikeouts in the year. But he definitely is itching to get back on the mound, as he was supposed to pitch on Wednesday, the game that was snowed out there in Chicago. So he'll be pitching tonight in St. Louis against the Reds, as that's a NL Central Division matchup. All right, Cal Hendricks is going to get another start, looking for his first win of the year in a Cubs uniform tonight. Well, he's been in a Cubs uniform for a while, but first win of the year this season in 2018. Posted a 3.71 ERA so far. He did get a quality start his last start against the Pirates, but did take the loss, give up a couple home runs for the second time in as many starts. So he's looking like he only going to go against the Colorado Rockies lineup that's pretty home run prone, especially in their own home ballpark. They're going to be at Coors Field in Denver. So John Gray also is looking like he wants to get his ERA lowered as well, as he's sitting at 6.23 right now. He's 1-3 as he looking for his second win of the year. I know he did give up a home run to a pitcher, I think his last time out. Clayton Major's a pretty good hitting pitcher. As we continue on here, the Red Sox are going to be in Boston, in Oakland. I talked about it a little bit, kind of just gave a little preview tease there. It's going to be Drew Pomeranz and Kendall Graveman, the left-hander, who actually did come up. I think he was with the A's for a little bit. I think he's been bounced around, but now he's found his stride. His first start for the Red Sox, as he coming off the DL, started the season on the DL, but he's going to be on a little leash. Alex Cora did come out and say that he does have a pitch count limit. It's going to be he said he can go up to about 100 pitches, but coming off of a career year last year where he won in 17 games, he's going to be going into Oakland, a place where he pitched a bunch, and it's probably pretty comfortable. So look out to the A's roster, as Kendall Graveman, who is supposed to come into this year as a top pitcher for the A's, has not pitched like one. He's 0-3 with an ERA hovering around 10. He's looking to find his form there out in Oakland, as he now will be put against the buzzsaw in the Red Sox lineup. You got to definitely be careful there, as maybe it'll be some reverse magic. You never know with baseball. It's pretty weird. Red Sox coming off a series where they didn't score less than 8 runs in any of the games. So, especially against a team in the Angels whose pitchers actually pitched pretty well this season. I mean, you don't get 13 wins with nothing. So the A's looking like they might be in trouble with this one, as they have the Red Sox coming in at 16-2 out there in Oakland. All right. Continue on. We have the Syndergaard start in Atlanta. It's going to be Noah Syndergaard, his ERA is around 3. He's a 2.95 ERA, but he's got 33 strikeouts. He's been effective, but he needs to get more efficient. He hasn't been able to pitch into the 7th inning this year just because of his average pitch count has been up, and he only lasted about 5 1/3 innings last time out with the pitch count around 101. So. And he's also looking to get his first win against the Braves in his career, as he's 0-1 lifetime in 4 starts. So, yeah, he's going to be going against Sean Newcomb, a lefty, for the Atlanta Braves out there at SunTrust Park in North Atlanta. All right, continuing on here on this Friday, we'll be talking about the Saturday, Sunday games in the next segment too, as we're going to have actually a doubleheader today, as the Kansas City Royals and Detroit Tigers will be making up some of their games. One of their games that was rained out or snowed out earlier in the year. We've already had, that's a whole other story we could talk about maybe at the end of the show here. is the fact that we've had a record amount of games snowed out in Major League season. I know they did start the season early. There's been reports. I mean, there's been stories and stuff about all about why they start the season early. What are they doing? So this is why it's happening. Well, most of the games actually were snowed out, or inclement weather caused it to be postponed. Those happened more in the second and third weeks of the season. So definitely got to watch out there. We'll get some good weather in Detroit for 2 games tonight. 2 games today. They're going to have a day and night doubleheader in Kansas City. It's going to be Josh Hamill and Michael Fulmer, the young right-hander for the Tigers. It looks pretty promising. He's 1-2 with 3.8, 6 ERA. He did have a good start to the season, but the Indians kind of screwed that one up, and he gave up 6 earned, scored 9 runs, 6 earned over just over 3 innings in Cleveland. So in his last start, so he's looking to bounce back from that one against Jason Hamill and the Royals, who are sitting at 3-13. So the Royals, I think their only wins have been when they have given up 0 runs. they're all shutouts, and then they've won 2 games 1-0, and 1 game like 10-0. Whenever they give up a run, they lose. So it's kind of interesting that disparity of wins and losses. But they're 3-13, looking to get back in the win column there, as they'll have 2 chances today and tonight in Detroit. All right, this is another good matchup of young right-handers. I know we had the highly touted matchup in the National League, the Scherzer and Kershaw. This is the future matchup I want to talk about. In the American League, we have Trevor Bauer, a nice pitcher. He did start with the Diamondbacks, so now he's found a nice home with the Cleveland Indians. And then go and get Dylan Bundy, who's actually still looking for his first start, but had quality outings in all of his first 4 starts. He's sitting at 0-2 with a 1.4 ERA. That just means he hasn't got really any run support. When you have that low of an ERA, but you're 0-2, he's not getting lit up to say the least. And also Trevor Bauer, who's pitching pretty well, has got a 2.25 ERA with 21 strikeouts. He's 1-1. He struck out 7, walked 2, did allow 2 runs over 7 innings in his last start against the Tigers. So that's the top, definitely that highly touted starting matchup in the American League today. All right, we'll get into the next segment in just a moment, and when we come back from these messages, we'll be getting into some more starts and matchups for the weekend, and talking about maybe a little bit more about this weather issue we're having, and the fact that Anthony Rizzo did talk about shortening the season. We talked about it on Wednesday, so we'll just probably bring some more up about that as we had some news, and we're getting all these makeup games going. So hopefully, just no more snow, but you never know. It's going to be cold out there. I'm seeing guys wearing those little head scarves, the balaclavas, and such. So we'll talk about that in the next segment when we come back.
Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
Listen now.
All right, welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast. This is the final segment of today's show on a Friday as we all get ready for our weekends of baseball watching, right? We're all going to sit home and watch some baseball this weekend. I mean, especially tonight. I want to go watch some tonight because I've already gone over some of these good starts we're going to have tonight. I mean, I want to watch that Oriole and Indians game. That's not something you'd normally say. Let's go watch the Orioles and Indians game. But when you have Dylan Bundy and Trevor Bauer going, I'd watch that too. And then we also have what could be a playoff, what could be an NLCS preview, what could be an NLDS preview for this year. Nationals and Dodgers going at it tonight in Los Angeles. Kershaw and Scherzer. Wow, Kershaw and Scherzer in Los Angeles. All right. tonight we're going to have the return of the Shark as well, and that's down in Anaheim. I talked about the Giants and the Dodgers Giants and the Angels actually in an interleague series getting started tonight down in Orange County. Justin Margell will be hitting his debut coming off the disabled list. He had a little right pectoral strain to start off the season, so he was on the DL to start the season. This is going to be his first start, and his first start also against the Angels since August of 2015 when he was back with the White Sox. He only gave up 1 run over 7 innings, so he has faced the Angels before. And the Giants will be facing off against the hitters will be facing off against a young left-hander, Andrew Heaney, who gave up 4 runs over 5 innings in his season debut against the Royals. This is his first start against the Giants in his career, clearly, as he's the young left-hander. All right, as we continue on, I just wanted a little quick note. We did talk about, we're going to talk about the weather a little bit. Obviously, the Major League Baseball, they've been doing this for a long time, and they started the season out early this year. The rainouts, most of the stuff happened over the last couple weeks of the season, so there's really nothing they can do if they started the season at the normal time. There's nothing really they could do regarding getting around this weather. They're going to have, the Cubs, I know, started on a 11-game road trip just to see if they could push back and avoid the bad weather. But, it's just been a cold winter. It's been a long and cold winter. There's nothing you can really do about that. We've had, 3 or 4 nor'easters. We had some stuff coming through the Midwest where it's been in the below 40 at this first pitch, the start of first pitch. So, we've already had, I think, over 22 games postponed and rescheduled to start off the season, which is the most, I believe, since 2007. So it's happened before. It's going to happen again. That if you're an Anthony Rizzo supporter, if you're a guy who agrees with Anthony Rizzo, start the season in May and have a couple scheduled doubleheaders. Go back to, they used to have one of the season wasn't always 162 games. It used to be 154, I believe. So they could just maybe do that again. Go back to 154, and then have some scheduled doubleheaders on the weekends. And people have them enough now. We're gonna have one today in Detroit. I talked about just in the last segment. So that's just a little idea on that one. What you could do possibly, I don't know. Tweet me, tell me what you want to see from Major League Baseball, and so until we figure this out, we're just going to go at it the way we've been doing it for the last few years here, or last decades or so. 162 games, we're going after it. All right, going into some more pitching matchups. We're going to see a couple more aces to go on Saturday. I know some of these teams have 2 aces. If you're the Red Sox, or even in the Nationals, you had Scherzer going on Friday. Now you're going to have Steven Strasburg go on Saturday. Friday, Saturday. Scherzer on Saturday. Strasburg now on... Scherzer on Friday. Strasburg on Saturday against Hyun-Jin Ryu, who's had a nice start to his season, the lefty for the Dodgers. He's 2-0 with a 2.87 ERA. Strasburg at 2-1 with a 3.08 ERA, as he'll be facing off against the tough Dodger lineup with a bunch of lefties in there. So we'll see how they face off against him. Jacob deGrom will be going for the Mets in Atlanta against Julio Teheran, who had a nice little bounce back to his from his first start, as he had 9 strikeouts on Monday against the Phillies. So he had his off-speed working as well as his fastball. He's going to be going against Jacob deGrom, who is 2-0 with a 3.24 ERA. His 30 strikeouts already on the season, and he will be going to look for his 3rd win there in Atlanta on a Saturday afternoon. Or actually, no, it's going to be a day game. No, it's going to be a night game there. And it's going to be against out there in SunTrust Park. The nice little stadium out there. It's a new stadium. I think I talked about it a couple shows ago. The fact that the Braves were kind of jumped. I don't know if they jumped the gun, but the original Turner Field wasn't originally meant to be a baseball stadium. It was a stadium they built for the Olympics, and it was the track and field events were there. That they converted it into a baseball stadium, which it actually was done beautifully. Beautiful stadium out there, but they kind of moved that. They wanted to be out, maybe out in the suburbs of Atlanta, get away from the traffic and such. So they're out in Cumberland, Georgia, which is north of Atlanta, where SunTrust Park is. And that's what the Mets and Braves will be battling it out this weekend. Tomorrow is going to be Jacob deGrom, like I said, and Julio Teheran. All right, some more stuff going on. We're going to have Dallas Keuchel going against Lucas Giolito in Chicago. Keuchel still looking for his first win. So is Giolito. They're both sitting. Keuchel's at 0-3. Giolito's at 0-2. But yeah, no, he's looking for his first win as he enters his fifth start. Keuchel is the former Cy Young Award winner, that lefty out there from the Houston Astros. They're going to be up in the south side of Chicago. And he'll likely, I like his chances. We'll say that. I like his chances in this game tomorrow in Chicago. Okay. Moving right along, we're going to have Aaron Nola sighting in Philadelphia. So he'll be going against the Pirates tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be a 4 o'clock start there in Philadelphia. Aaron Nola has not allowed more than 4 hits or 2 runs in any of his starts this season. That young right-hander, pretty promising for the Phillies. As their rotation continues to shake out pretty nicely now with the addition of Jake Arrieta. Yeah, he'll be going against that Pittsburgh Pirates lineup that has actually done pretty well to start off the season. They've already posted 12 wins on the year, a team that was not supposed to be doing that at all this season. All right, continuing on, we have Marcus Stroman will be looking to bounce back from his last start. He's not had a great start to the season at all, with an ERA hovering around 8. He'll be going against that tough Yankee lineup in the Bronx tomorrow. So Marcus Stroman maybe made a little switch to the flip there. Flip the switch in the Bronx there. We're going to have another Yu Darvish start for the Cubs against the Rockies. He's still looking for his first win in a Cubs uniform. Yu Darvish with a 6 ERA, 0-1. So he'll be looking to get his first win in Denver. So it's going to be a tough one for him to get to go out there and do that. And then Clayton Richard against Zach Godley, who's a good right-handed pitcher, a good little starter for the Diamondbacks, pitching at home against the Padres. He's got a tight curveball. He's got a nice little pitch for him. And then we'll see another sighting of Bartolo Colon. He'll be going against James Paxton for the Mariners, but Bartolo Colon, who has not gotten a win, he hasn't got a decision this season yet at all. But he has a nice 1.45 ERA through, I believe, 2 starts so far for the Rangers. As he did not allow base runner into the 8th inning his last start. He just continues to defy age and everything when it comes to pitching in the Major League Baseball. So he's been around for quite a while. The elder statesman is saying something for that. All right, quickly on Sunday as we come to the end of the show here on a Friday, I just want to touch up on the rest of these starts coming up on Sunday throughout the weekend. Luis Severino is going to be going for the Yankees as they finish up their series with the Blue Jays up there in the Bronx against Jaime Garcia. That'll be a good little start. Corey Kluber is going to be starting for the Cleveland Indians in Baltimore as they finish up their series against Kevin Gausman. Kluber starting off just as he likes with a nice little 2-1 record with a 1.5 ERA. Good start for him as he had that start in Puerto Rico in his last game, pitching pretty well. Pitched very well, actually. And then we'll have a David Price start against the Red Sox and A's in Oakland as they finish off that series there on Sunday afternoon, a 1 o'clock Pacific time start for that game. David Price against Daniel Medgen for the Oakland Athletics. Anything else here I'm seeing as we come to the end of the show here? As I'm looking at Lance McCullers Jr., who's actually one of my favorite pitchers to watch. He's a good little starter there for the Astros. The right-hander, young right-hander, pitched pretty well in the World Series. He'll be going in Chicago against the White Sox in the finale of their series against Ronaldo Lopez, who actually has had a nice little start to the season. He might not show it in his record, but due to a serious lack of run support. But he's got a nice 1.42 ERA to start off the season. The young right-hander for the White Sox with 21 strikeouts, so gotta like that in Chicago and see if he can get his first win of the year there. All right. Also, the Angels have not announced their starter for Sunday due to the fact that usually Sunday was Shohei Ohtani, but because of the rain out or the snow out last Sunday, as we talked about on Wednesday, they didn't play a game on Sunday last week because of some snow in the ice and snow in Kansas City. So no Ohtani on Sunday. He pitched on Tuesday, so he'll likely pitch again on this coming Tuesday. I'll highlight that on the Monday show after we get through the weekend. So Cueto going for the Giants on Sunday, and we'll see who. I mean, just stay tuned to see who for Angel fans out there. We'll see who they throw out there, who Mike Scioscia decides to throw up against the Giants on Sunday. And then lastly, we have a nice, cool little start of two young right-handers out in Atlanta, Mike Foltynewicz and Zach Wheeler going at it with sub-3 ERAs and both posting 1-1 records so far through this early young season. Both looking for their second win of the year out in SunTrust Park. That'll be an early start there in Atlanta. Zach Wheeler and Mike Foltynewicz in the finale of that NL East tie between the Mets and the Braves. All right, as we come to the end of the show here, we talked about a lot of stuff that's going on. We talked about the Red Sox keeping on their roll, Mookie Betts looking like an MVP candidate. We talked about Shohei Ohtani's coming down to the earth a little bit here, obviously dealing with that blister on his hand, only lasted 2 innings in his start on Tuesday. Then yesterday he was at the plate and did not get on base. He was 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts against the Red Sox. As none of those Angels hitters fared well on Thursday against Rodriguez, as he was pitching pretty well. We'll see how the lefties still interesting to see how lefties will fare against Ohtani, or how Ohtani will fare against lefties. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how he faces lefties in the future, or if he can just let that blister heal up before he gets back out there, either on the mound or even at the plate. So that'll wrap it up as we continue on this. We're continuing on this lovely weekend of baseball. Hope you guys all have a good time watching baseball this weekend. We'll see you on Monday, and we'll recap what happened and talk about any stories, any stuff that's going on in the baseball world. And until then, everybody, have a good weekend.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.